I just heard a testimony from a woman. This woman had a horrific life. And when she was a child, she was trafficked. She was Hispanic, came to this country. And when she came to this country, this nation, her parents didn't take care of her correctly, so she went out on the streets. Next thing you know, she got caught up in prostitution as a child, and then she wound up soon being child trafficked. She was only a child. She got a life of drugs, horrific abuse, rape, molestation, everything happened to her. She wound up in prison. And while she was in prison, she gave her heart to Jesus. And it just so happens that she had taken so much drugs that her heart was given out on her. As she was dying, as she was giving her last breath, and all of a sudden, Jesus came into her jail cell. And he appeared to her. And it turns out she thought she was still in the jail cell in the prison, but where it was, that she was in hell. And Jesus had given her a vision of this place in hell, like she was in a prison, and she saw her life pass before her very eyes. And she says, in Jesus, when he stood in front, now she wasn't literally in hell, it was just a vision of hell. And Jesus wrote these dates on the wall with his finger. And she's thinking to herself, what does these dates represent? She saw this date, January 12th, 1981, another date, and a whole list of dates. And she said, Lord, why are you writing those dates on the wall? And she said, Jesus said nothing. And he kept writing. And all of a sudden, as he continued to write, she says the last couple dates that he had written were the birthdays of her own children. She had like 2 or 3 children, I think. And she recognized those 3, but she didn't know what those other dates were. And all of a sudden, Jesus, when he got to the end of writing on the wall, he turned and he looked at her and he spoke. You know what he said? He says, when you were pregnant, you had a miscarriage. That was the date of your baby when I came and rescued your child through the miscarriage of your womb and took your child into heaven. And it went all the way, she said it was a whole list. And then he said, and then when you were prostituting on the streets and you got pregnant and you went to the abortion clinic and you aborted that child, I came and rescued that child. I took that child, spirit and soul, with me. And that was the date. And the other abortion, that was your date. And she realized that through the years, she had had all these abortions. And it was so precious to the Lord how important these babies were, because Jesus wept over every little child that was aborted. He wept over the child that was miscarried. He even wept over her own children that were still alive. And guess what he said to her? He says, these are mine. These are mine. And guess what happened next? He took her up in a vision from that hellish cell that she was in, and she stood in heaven. And when she got to heaven, she was standing next to Jesus, and all of a sudden, an angel comes forth holding a little baby. And the little baby was held in the angel's arms and says, this is your aborted child. And she said, in the moment, she says, I felt all shame, all regret. I felt so horrible thinking that I was the one that made that decision over this child. And he never grew up, never experienced a life on the earth, never experienced what to grow up and have children. They could have been a great and famous person or a president or a preacher or someone that had a chance to live. And God said, I never breathed the breath of life in these children because they were taken from the womb. And all of a sudden, when the angel had the little baby, the angel set the baby down, and instantly the little child grew up before her eyes, and it was like a teenager. And she remembered, I had that abortion 15, 16, and the child was like, but yet it wasn't a baby, but it came up. And she says, right when I was getting ready to turn my face away and say, I am so sorry. I feel so bad. What I did, I took your life. I made a decision to choose my life over yours. You know what that little child did? Ran up and hugged his mama. It says, Mom, that's okay. I forgive you. It's okay. Go on and serve God. And when you get here, we will continue to be together forever in heaven with Jesus.